Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this month's book review on the Podiatry Legends podcast. With me, as usual, is my good friend and co-host for this particular episode, Carly O'Donoghue. So, Carly, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, Tyson. Good to be back this month. How are you going?
I'm fantastic. And once again, we have had a ball terror of a book. It has been, let's hold it up and show everyone what it is. It is called Fans First by Jesse Cole. Now, if people are wondering, Jesse Cole has been on this podcast before. He came on as a guest, episode 118, and it was Be Successful by Standing Out. And that was based off of his other book, Find Your Yellow Tux.
Find Your Yellow Tux, that's right.
But
Yeah.
this is his second, I think this is his third book, actually.
Oh, is it?
Or he's written
We
another
skipped
book
straight to the
after
third
this one.
book.
No, but this one, and I actually have a signed copy, which
It must be nice, people. Must be nice to be Tyson.
the people you know. But this book is fantastic. And I think you had apprehensions when I first said, this is the book we're going to do. You went, yeah, I'm not sure.
Look, but you know, this is one of the must-buy books for your bookshelf, I think.
Yep.
This book actually makes an impact. And it's for people that aren't afraid to change the status quo. So it gives you, I love this book because when you're reading this book, it's like the book gives you permission to do what you want to do, permission to stand out, permission to actually do things differently in your clinic.
Yeah. And I want to read something else that's on the cover. It says, change the game, break the rules, and create an unforgettable experience. Fans First, based on the true story of the Savannah Bananas, which is a baseball team, if anybody is wondering. Google them, go onto YouTube and check out the Savannah Bananas, and you'll understand, or as we would call them, Savannah Bananas.
Yeah, I was thinking, do we say bananas or bananas?
Oh, we say bananas, but if you say Savannah Bananas, it doesn't sound as good.
It doesn't. No.
So you got to say Savannah Bananas or Savannah Bananas. But if you go and check them out on YouTube and see some of stuff, watch some of their videos while you're waiting, while you've ordered this book and waiting for it to arrive, because you will not find this book probably in bookstores here in Australia. This is something you'll have to get off Amazon, and I'll put a link.
Yeah, I did get it off Amazon. Yep.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the show notes so people can actually get a copy of it. But this is a book that I said to you off air that every member of the Podiatry Association in Australia, I don't think even overseas, needs to get a copy of this book and read it and understand that the members of any association, the Podiatry Association or anything else, should become fans of the association, not just members.
Yeah, the book says that, you know, we have patients in the clinic, or as you're saying, the association, members of an association. They have to be a fan of yours to actually be successful.
And I mentioned to you that I was at the recent podiatry conference in Brisbane, the national conference, and probably 8 out of 10 podiatrists I spoke to had a little bit of a whinge about the association. Oh, they don't listen to us. They don't care. It's the same speakers that they bring in. Some of the talks were great, but some of them was just the same old professor this, professor that, PhD person talking about stuff that isn't really relevant to them. And I think that's where there's a disconnect between someone who's just a member of the association and someone who's a fan of the association. And there's probably people who are raving fans of the association, and the association needs to find out why are they raving fans and why are other people not raving fans.
But that comes to the question that some people or some podiatrists aren't a fan of being a podiatrist.
Yes.
You have to be a fan of what you do to be successful. And then if you're leading a team, if you're not a fan yourself, how do you expect anyone else to be a fan of your business? Like the association, if they're not fans of podiatry, how can they expect people to be a fan of theirs?
Yeah, and I said off air that sometimes people go, oh, the association doesn't do anything for us. There's probably a lot of things that they do that we do not see behind the scenes, because our profession has progressed a long way over the last couple of decades. So they are doing a lot of work. They just don't sell it very well to the members.
Correct. I think they do a lot of good work, the association. But again, are they listening to what we want? And I think they're trying to, absolutely. But that's one thing that, Jesse talks about in his books. Are you listening to what your patients want? and to create that unforgettable experience.
And I love the way you always refer to the authors in their first name, like we go way back and we're buddies.
Well, I think if Jesse met me, we'll be pals. Yeah,
I
we're
think,
pretty tight.
yeah, I think you'd be tight. I think he'd be going, oh yeah, yeah,
So I'm just
Carly's
taking
my
it for
type of
granted
person.
that we're friends now. I read his book. Obviously, we've connected somehow.
Yeah, but once again, when you look at all the post-it notes we've marked on here,
Oh.
we could talk about the book for ages. But one thing I want to point out to people, like the book is broken into three parts. The first part is like fans first. So, and it's talking about why your fans need to be first and things you need to do to make or to have that mindset of fans first. It's fans first before anything else. And then the second thing was break the rules, which I loved that section.
It's one of your styles, Tyson, but it actually makes sense.
It's right up my alley. And then the third thing was create an unforgettable experience. And he gets a lot of inspiration from P.T. Barnum and Walt Disney, which...
Oh, Walt Disney is mentioned a lot in it, which I actually haven't read Walt's book. Have you got Walt Disney's book?
I've got a few of them.
Yeah, I've got a few of his books. We might have to do a podcast on one of them.
Yeah, because one of the Disney books, not written by Walt Disney, it was Be Our Guest.
Oh, yes.
And I have mentioned that to you before.
You have,
that is a brilliant book. So we'll do that one in the future. But he gets a lot of inspiration from people who have done things differently.
Yeah, and what I really like about this book is at the end of the chapters, he actually gives you a list of books, which they call, what is it, their banana bookshelf?
Yeah.
Or book read or something. And therefore, it's letting you know that he's reading lots of books as well about how to improve his business, and he gives us the books that he that has inspired him. So it's a good one to reference and go back in if we want to read more of that type of book.
You'll guarantee that I don't think a day would go past where he's not, and he mentions it in the book heaps of times. Every day when there's fans at the baseball game, he will sit there and they're always asking him, how can we do this better? How can we create a better experience for them? Are there any rules that we're sort of just sticking to that we should be changing or trying to break? And he's not saying do anything illegal. It's just break the status quo of how things have always been done.
Yeah.
And he gives some great examples. But one of the things that really stood out to me, and he says this, I think about 4 times at least that I picked it up in the book. The first fan is you, not your team, not your customers, you. You must be a fan of your podiatry business first.
Yeah.
Before anybody else is ever going to be a fan. And I think that's something that some podiatrists lack. They are a podiatrist, they have a business, but they're not a fan of their business.
Yeah. Absolutely right. You must be the number one fanatic. You must turn yourself into a fanatic of your business, a fanatic of what you actually do. And that's the number one stage that you need to do to move forward.
And if you're not a fan of your own business, you've got to sit back and go, why? Why am I not a fan? Is there something about the work that I'm doing? Because there was a quote in there, I can't remember who said the quote, but the quote was along the lines of, it's not about doing work that you love every day. It's about reducing the work you don't like doing every day.
Yeah. Oh, there's some good quotes, and probably every third page there's some quotes. Maybe that's why I love the book so much. But we'll go through some of.
Person, aren't you?
I love the quotes. Yep. Do you know what one of the insights of the book that I do want to talk about is they say the more swings you take, the more hits you will make. One, it rhymes, so it's very easy to remember. But it's true. Like it. Yes, it's based on, baseball and swinging, but if you won't hit any balls if you don't take a swing. So you've just the biggest mistake you will make is not making any mistakes. And he goes through that in detail. And I thought that was a really fantastic point of the book.
Because there was a quote from Albert Einstein as well. I think it said, if you're not making mistakes, then you're not trying new things.
Yep.
Or you're not challenging yourself to try new things.
Yep.
The other part in here that this is in the first section when he's talking about fans first was really documenting their journey. Remember when we did the 12-week reboot and I said, and we were doing the patient journey from the time.
That triggered me when I read that. I'm going, I know all about this journey.
It triggered me too. But, and I always say to people, a lot of people think the patient journey starts the day they walk into your clinic and they meet you. You go,
Mm-hmm.
"Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin. I'm your podiatrist."
Yes,
But
and
the
that is
journey for the
incorrect.
patient starts way ahead. I
Yeah.
split it up into two parts. Part A of the journey was when they first become aware of you, and everything that happens and every touch point that your business has with that patient before you've ever shook their hand, shaking their hand, before you have a handshake.
No, that is true. That, you know, he identifies, I think he said he's had in his business, there's 7 stages that he goes through. And the stages are like touch points of his business. You know, the first one, you know, the first impressions that you were mentioning there, Tyson, is your website, is your social media, is your marketing. It's before they get to the clinic. It's your signage. That's the first impression that they get. So he's got 7 of them, like, you know, when they enter the car park, when they go through the concord, when their players are on the field. So he mentions in the book, and this is how he resonates with the reader, because you can have any business. It's not just a baseball business. So the first step that you need to consider is what stages, like you need to identify your stages of the business. And then you need to map that patient journey. And the patient journey, if you're getting stuck on maybe what needs to be improved, is he goes undercover, or you can go undercover in your business. Like be a patient in your business, walk through the door, get the greeting from admin. How do the podiatrist greet you, and what do they say when you first sit down on the chair? Or be admin for a day and see how patients react. You know, I had to actually do that in my business a couple of weeks ago because everyone went down with COVID and the flu. And I'm going, oh yeah, I'll just step in and do this. I created these systems. I know what's going on. Wow. It was hard when you leave it for a while. It was hard, but it gives you an insight about, you know, what your staff do every day, and 2, the little the friction points for patients and staff in your business. And that's something that it does go through as well.
Well, he explains a lot of that, like that the patient journey, or as he called it, the fan journey.
Yeah.
And I love how, because the whole thing of what he did was he tried to take baseball, which was a slow, boring game, and tried to make it exciting. And so from the time people pull up in the car park, every touch point they have along the way, there's something exciting happening. And he gives the example when they were first opening up, and I think it was raining, and all these people were getting wet, and then they're all getting under cover, and there was a big line, and everyone was bored shitless. And he's sitting there, this is not what I want. I don't want people to be bored at any stage. So then he brought out the dancing grannies. And he had them dancing the cheer. Was it the granny cheer squad or something like that?
Yeah,
and
the
had them
Nana Bananas or Nana.
banana nanas.
Yeah.
The banana nanas. Yeah. Had them dancing, and everyone was just cheering and thought that was great. He goes, okay, this is what needs to happen in the car park before people come in, when they're waiting in line. Well, they're sitting there before the game started, pre-entertainment, halftime entertainment, post-entertainment. And then when they're leaving, there's more entertainment.
And so what he discovered in that is that you need a script for obstacles.
Yeah.
So things won't go right all the time. But, you know, excuses will rob you of success in your business. That's right. You heard it first, listeners. Excuses will rob you of success in your business. So you need to stop making excuses when things don't go right. You need to acknowledge what went wrong, pivot, and do things differently the next time. So that's when we're saying, you know, the more swings you take, the more hits you will make. Like take another swing at a little bit of a different angle instead of blaming what went wrong.
Yeah, it was the weather.
Well, he could have done that. It rained. Oh, well, first game. See you later. No success here. But he turned it around because he thought differently.
Yeah. And in part 2, when he's talking about like break the rules, and there's a quote here, when you follow the crowd, you'll never draw a crowd.
Yeah.
And I reckon there's so many podiatrists always say, when you're setting up a new clinic, are you going to be just a carbon copy of what has already been done before, or are you going to do something a little bit different? I've got this new diagram that I've been using with people, with podiatrists when I'm explaining things to them, not just random people in the street.
Let me show you this diagram
But it's got you're starting your business in one particular point, and as you go along the timeline, are you going to be exactly the same, or are you going to be better? And then upwards, are you going to be, or are you going to be more innovative? So it's look at what everybody else is doing, and think about, he's got a thing in here, the 5 E's, which I'm going to read out. The 5 E's are, and you mentioned one already, eliminate friction, entertain always, experiment constantly, engage deeply, and empower action. And the eliminate friction was just like, look at the whole journey of your patient and where are all the pain points, the things that slow things down. And if you can improve every one of those areas a little bit, then the whole experience is going to be better.
Yeah, look, it takes courage to change, and it takes courage to actually do something differently. But one of the things that he touched on, my friend Jesse, one of the things that Jesse mentioned in the book is the word willingness. So yeah, we can look at friction points, but you need to be willing to open your eyes to those friction points in your business. You need to be willing to listen to feedback from staff and feedback from patients about what those friction points are. And then you need to have the willingness to want to change these. And implementation is the game changer here. So it's just, stop talk about doing stuff. The people that actually take actions and implement these changes are the ones that move forward.
He gives a really good example about fees or payments.
Yep.
And this was on page 91. And it says, every pay point is a pain point.
Yeah.
So every time a fan has to pay, it increases friction. Examine your fans or patients' buying experience, ease of transactions, and how many lines are there on a receipt. Make these as simple as possible. And for split's sake, as he says split a lot in this.
Banana split.
Yeah, get rid of those fees. And I must admit, when I've stayed at a motel, for example, and it's $200 a night or $250 a night, and then you go to pay with your credit card, and they go, "Oh, sir, there's a 1.5% card fee." And I'm like, really? Just it shits me every time they do that. Okay, I'd rather you just charge me $255 or $260 for the room and say, and you don't even mention it.
Yep.
And like he says, every time someone's paying a fee, it creates a pain point. So can you look at your podiatrically, and are you breaking things up too much, or should you be bringing things together so there's less pay and pain points?
Yeah, and this is going to get real in your business now because of how the economy is going. If you're hiding things from patients, or they come to the desk and you say, well, the consultation, you make that fee really low, but then it's plus, they're going to get really annoyed really quickly. And that is a friction point. And so it's not fun for the patient. The patient leaves without having that unforgettable experience. Well, they probably do remember it because it's so painful. Your admin don't like it because they have to explain things out the front desk. So they're the sort of things that you can immediately look at in your business to minimize the stress of staff and to accelerate the experience for the patient and make things fun. So we're not saying don't charge people.
Oh no,
do it in a way
definitely got to charge people.
Yeah, but do it in a way that doesn't inhibit the experience that they're getting in your clinic.
Yeah, and and I think it's being really transparent with what you're charging and when you're charging it.
Yep.
And I know, like at one stage there, say for example, our initial consultation for a certain thing was 125, but everybody else in town was charging 85. And when patients had said us, "Oh, you're about $40 more than the other places we've rang," and I've gone, "Oh, we must be doing something different." And they went, "Must be." And I said, "But it also includes this. Did they tell you that's what they're doing?" "Oh, no, they didn't mention anything about that." And I said, "Well, ours does." A few people say, "Oh, okay, I'll get back to you." And then they ring us back and they go, "Oh, they said to do this, it's going to cost this." And then they may charge us for this and they may charge us for that. And it was so blurry and grey that they decided to see us, which is why we were seeing over 100 new patients every single month without fail, because it was really clear what we charged for the initial visit and what was involved.
Yeah.
Actually, everything was involved.
And again, going back to the book, do things differently. The book gives you, when you're reading the book, it gives you permission to try those types of things. The same thing with marketing. Now, there are podiatrists now that are marketing differently, who are putting a spin on the old ways of how we're doing it and doing new things. And I think that is brilliant. So those podiatrists out there who are actually stepping out of the comfort zone, doing things differently than what was done 5 years ago, I applaud you. I think that's great, because you're staying inside the limits, but you're actually testing the grounds. You're doing what you want to do. And there's others that see that and try and drag you down to the norm. Just go, hang on, that's not in the flow chart. You can't go left. We always have to go right. And just going, well, you know what? Left is actually fun, and patients want to go left. So keep doing that. But I want to see more people do things differently in podiatry. And I think that's what is going to save podiatry in the long term.
Yeah, and sometimes too, if you're doing something a little bit different, we're not saying that you need to be unprofessional or
absolutely not,
or be a fool or carry on. Like if you decided you wanted to wear a yellow tuxedo to your clinic every day, you know, eventually, I think you get away with it.
You could dress up in costume. We're not saying do dress up in costume, but you could. But you've got to make it consistent. You can't just wear a costume randomly. Wear a costume every day.
Well, we used to have, I know in my clinic, we had each consultation room was themed with superheroes. So we didn't have room 1, 2, or 3, the Superman room, Spider-Man room, and all that. Yeah, the toilet was Thor, God of Thunder. So we had a bit of fun with it, and the patients used to laugh. But Fridays, we used to have Hawaiian shirts on Fridays. When State of Origin Rugby League was on, we'd dress the clinic up into, the best team, Queensland, of course. Now, if you're from New South Wales, you just know.
I'm sorry, we won the first 2 games.
Yeah, we won the first 2 games. So let's see how the third one goes. But we had a bit of fun with it, but we're really consistent. So I'm saying it's not being unprofessional. I think you should maintain professionalism at all times, but have fun with it. Don't be a stick in the mud.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's, you can be professional, you can be highly skilled at what you do, but if you have fun with the patient and not take yourself too seriously. There are I don't know if there's so many people out there, but there are people out there that take being a podiatrist super seriously, that it kills their personality and it kills the reputation. And it's so boring probably coming to their clinic because they're talking like this and I know so much about the foot and blah, 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 Dr. Foot. And it's like, well, no. Everyone, I don't know. Is there a Dr. Foot out there? I'm just saying.
There probably might be. Sorry, Dr. Foot, if we've offended you.
No, it's absolutely not targeted at you. Sorry, not targeted at you. However, patients don't feel the connection to you, and so they're pretty much a customer. They're not a fan.
Yeah.
To make them a fan, you need to create a feeling in a patient that, you create that rapport with them when they come in, and that lasting impression as soon as they go out the door. The feeling that they have with them, that's what they're going to remember. They're not going to remember your doctorate on the wall or, how many, how quick it was to remove your ingrown toenail because they've got this stopwatch going on. They're going to remember the conversation you had with them. They're going to remember how you made them feel in the consultation. If they're a really anxious patient, they're going to remember how you calmed them down. Do that. Know your skill and get better at that.
Yeah, and they'll remember the follow-up phone call you did that night.
Yep.
To see how they were feeling, and then maybe in between the consultations, are you reaching out to them? And I've mentioned before, I had an implant done once for one of my teeth. Had it done that day, got home that night, and next thing the phone rings, and it's the dentist, 7:30 of that night. Hey, Tyson, just checking in to see how you're feeling. Go, feeling great. He said, okay, and that was it. Yeah. I've told so many people that story of getting this phone call at 7:30 at night, and I'm thinking, why aren't we doing that? Yeah. So then we would start doing it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I will share with you something that we do in my clinic often. in the back room, in the staff room, we have all of these chocolates. Yes, some staff do try and take them at lunchtime. However, the chocolates are for patients. So it's about creating that unforgettable experience that Jessie keeps talking about. If we notice that a patient is having a really bad day, say their dog might have died or they're just upset for some reason, admin go out, grab one of the chocolates, bring it to the patient when they're exiting and say, look, this is for you. I hope that your day gets better. Now, that simple action has absolutely nothing to do with podiatry, but it has everything to do with how that patient feels when they leave the clinic. So right then and there, you're creating a fan. So going back to what we spoke about first is creating fans in your clinic, not just patients.
Yeah, and this goes back to same thing when we did the reboot. I said you can either be a podiatrist, the podiatrist, or my podiatrist.
Yeah.
And it's how the patient relates to you and how you connect with the patient will determine how they talk about you. Yeah. And I say when they're leaving, they're either going back to work to talk to colleagues, they're going home, talk to family, catching up with friends to talk to friends, or hopefully they're not going to their lawyer. But they're going to be talking to somebody, and how are they going to talk about you? Are they going to rave about how good the experience was? Or is it just going to be, ho-hum? Nothing that makes them want to come back when you reach out to them a year later and say, hey, you need to come back and to review this. And they're like, yeah, okay, yeah, maybe I will. But if they really love the experience, they'll look forward to coming back.
Yeah. And I think we forget when you see patients every day, it becomes so natural for you to do that. But a patient walks in the door and they may be nervous. It may be the first time that they come there, or you don't know what's happened to them before they actually come into the clinic. So it is your responsibility as the professional that every time someone comes into the clinic, it's opening night for them. And I know that you've spoken about this in one of your reboot. Haven't you spoken about this in one of your reboot courses?
Oh, sure.
Or maybe this is me. Maybe this is my quote.
You are telling the story.
But every patient, it is opening night. So you can't just go, oh, look, I'm not feeling that well today. I'm just, I've seen this patient 10 times already. And you walk out into the waiting room and have a bit of grunt going, oh, yeah, just come in. And I mean, that's a terrible impression to give.
How's your day been? Oh, it's how busy I've
and
been
then
today.
The podiatrist actually complains about their life. No. That's not cool. You need to go out there and go, wow, how are you going? Obviously, jumping on beans like you.
Yeah. Don't do a Tom Cruise.
You're on something. But yeah,
but
just
no,
make them welcome.
what I said was in the reboot was the patient you see at 8:30 and the patient you see at 5:30 deserves the same enthusiasm, excitement, and the room should look like it was prepared for them, like they were the first patient of the day. There shouldn't be, your energy level shouldn't wane throughout the day. And if it is disappearing throughout the day, you got to try and identify why, because the person at 5:30 deserves exactly the same as what the person at 8:30 got.
Yeah, that's right. And if you can't maintain that level, change your timetable. Like you do have control over your timetable.
Yeah. And before we wrap up, there's one other example he says in here. I think Somerville Constructions. I think they're a real estate company, and he mentioned about how the whole team got together and they just went through all the processes where they're in contact with their customers, for us as patients, and just note that what are the craziest things that we could do in all these different areas to make the experience better. And when they all got there, so the goal is to involve your team, make this a team thing. This isn't, the best ideas are not going to come from you. The best ideas will come from a collective group of minds.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the same goal. And I love the story when someone had signed up, the house was halfway built and they said, oh, we're going to be in town. Is there any, could you recommend, because they were moving to that town, but not yet until the house is built, could you recommend a restaurant? And they went, leave it with us. They organized someone to pick them up at the airport. They then drove them to their half-built house that didn't even have a roof yet. They set up fairy lights and all that between all the building work. And then they brought somebody in to prepare a meal for them. And a chef came in and cooked them a meal. Now, that probably would have cost the real estate maybe a couple $100. Even if it's $500 to organise it for that couple, in the big scheme of things, what the house is worth, it's not that much. Jesse's written about it in his book. I'm mentioning it on this podcast, and I bet that couple have told more than one person exactly what happened with that company. How many more clients have they got from that absolutely amazing experience?
And that's the basis of putting fans first. That's exactly his point. And when you're reading the book, he gives loads of examples of that. So he mentions something, but then he actually gives examples of how he implements that in his business and how it can relate. Oh, the story, when we're talking about stories, do you remember the story about the plumber? The plumber. Okay, so this is when he's talking about an unforgettable experience and doing things differently. He had a plumber come into, and this is how you can relate it to your business. It doesn't have to be baseball. He had a plumber come over to his house, and the plumber was wearing a cape. That was the first point of difference. So yeah, he was in costume. Again, not saying everyone needs to wear a costume, but he was wearing a cape. And then a cog or something was really tight, he'd get out this huge spanner, and it was golden spanner, and sort of, played it up like, this big golden spanner, we're gonna loosen this cog and make things better. And then at the end of the service, he would make sure everything's nice and tidy and leave a rubber duck on top of the toilet. And so therefore, when they came in, they'd see this rubber duck. So that was his sort of exiting his last impression.
His calling card.
His calling card. Yeah, that's right. So he was saying that, if a business does that, if you've got a problem in the future, are you going to remember his service, or are you going to remember someone who came in and just, moaned and groaned, didn't talk to you, and then just gave you an invoice at the end and walked
left
back
a mess.
out? Yeah. So that's I suppose the thing about doing something differently. It can be really small. How you make people feel is going to make the difference.
Yeah, definitely. And there was one point, I got a tear in my eye in some of the stories that he told about.
Oh, you old softy, Tyson.
I know.
Which one?
When he's talking about the girl who was at the game and her partner died.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And she came to the game because he loved baseball.
Yep.
But there was someone on the team who had the same name as her partner, and she wanted to see, is there any chance I could possibly get a ball with his signature on it?
Yeah.
And just that whole story, but what the team did for her with that ball and how they presented it and for the family and all that, I got a tear in my eye, and I was playing. I wonder if Carly did, but obviously Carly's colder than me.
Not at all. Oh my goodness. No, do you know what? That actually reminds me of another story that he was saying. Same sort of concept. And when we're talking about these stories, these are identifying with your whole team has to be involved in these values, and your whole team needs to be a fanatic of your business as well for it to work. But there was a story, same sort of concept, but the mum bought tickets for her family to go to the baseball game, and the mum unfortunately passed away before that game. So the people at the Savannah Bananas, they heard about this, and they rang them up and said, "Oh, look, come to the field," because they didn't want them to miss out on the game. They upgraded them. They gave them front row seats. They actually got a jersey made of the wife's name up the top.
Yeah.
And then the number was the number of years that the husband had been married to the wife. So that brought a tear to my eye. So again, it's about going those extra links when it's the same sort of about the chocolate story I just mentioned. If you notice somebody has had a bad day or upset, what can you do for them to make them feel special? And that was a great story.
But all the stories he tells in this book of the amazing things he makes it, he puts the fans first. A lot of them in the big scheme of things of his baseball team does not cost a huge amount of money in comparison. For us, for you, it's a 30, 50-cent chocolate.
Yeah.
For us, we know when it was anyone's birthday or anything come up, we always had muffins in our freezer. Yeah. And we knew they were coming in, we always put a candle in there and we celebrated it and we sang happy birthday.
See, that's nice.
Whether they wanted it or not. And some of them go, "Do you guys, I try to avoid coming in on my birthday because I know you're going to do this." And they go, yet you still always come in on your birthday. And I went,
Yeah.
yeah, okay,
Because you
maybe
love it. You love the
subconsciously I
cake.
like it.
Yeah.
But the patients who were in the reception area at the time when we do it, they're all singing happy birthday.
Yeah.
And they go,
Yep.
do you do this for every patient? We go, if you come in on your birthday. But we do a lot of other crazy things too.
But it's about being consistent with that as well.
Yeah.
And how he
Cost a
talks
lot of
about
money,
always
though.
being always. So if a patient saw that and then came in on their birthday and nothing happened, they wouldn't feel very, very good. So
No.
if you're going to do something, always means always.
But that's why you need to get your team involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
In this idea process, and you all need to agree upon it that we are going to put fans first, or we're going to put patients first. So, so Carly, out of 10, what would you rate fans first?
I would rate fans first I'd rate it probably a 9 out of 10. It's definitely a go-to book on the bookshelf, but it's for people who who are excited about changing the status quo. So I don't think the book is for everyone, but it's for a group of people who will be successful and who want to move forward. So 2 thumbs up for me. I don't know if we're doing thumbs up, but I've just given it 2.
Thumbs up. I'll give it 2 thumbs up. I'll give it a 9 as well. Because you always got to allow leeway
That's right.
for improvement in case he does a second edition or the next book comes out. There is a third book. But I totally agree. If you're a podiatrist listening to this and you're thinking, no, I love podiatry and I want to make my patients first. I want to be patients first. Then you need to get a copy of this book. It needs to be on your bookshelf. And I would buy a copy for each of your team members. I'd have them read it, and then I'd all talk about it as a group. And this could be a project you could do over a 12-month period on how can we keep doing things better? How can we do it better? Because that was a question he always asked. How can we do it better? How can we do it better? How can we make the next experience even better?
Yeah. But if you don't have a team, don't worry, because what I think you should do is actually get together with a group of podiatrists that don't have teams either and actually brainstorm. Do you know what? There's nothing wrong than with sharing ideas that you do in your business. There is enough patients for everyone. I just shared a few on the podcast. That you try that chocolate idea with your admin, and see how it changed your patients. They walk out with a huge smile on your face. There is nothing wrong with sharing what you do in the clinic. Your patients aren't going to leave you because another clinic does that as well. They won't even know. So get together, share ideas.
We could keep going on because this is one of those books that I like. Once again, we pick some good books. So
we do pick good books.
Everybody, go and check out Fans First by Jesse Cole, the owner of the Savannah Bananas or Savannah Bananas, depending where you live. And Carly, I want to thank you for
choosing the book. Thank you for making me read this book. I love it.
Oh, good. I'm glad that you have your unsigned copy and I have my signed copy.
But interesting.
So, Carly, I look forward to talking again next month for our next book review. Okay, bye.
Bye.